pleasure and privilege to be speaking in front of you. Well, at the start of my speech, I need to clarify that it is 350 billion that we are after. Well, because it's like personally offensive. We are after a huge amount of money that Putin saved in the democratic countries and that belong right now to everybody that he hurt. And it's only a fair and true thing to do is to make sure that we take a use of those money. But back to why am I here? You know, it's always an impossible thing for me to range the crimes that Russians committed to people of our country on the terror level scale. But there are people who can do that, and they are called International Criminal Court, and that's why they have proven a crime by Putin and issued a warrant for his arrest for specific and horrifying crime. It is kidnapping 300,000 of Ukrainian children and transferring them over to Russia. I cannot imagine pain and fear and suffering that these children and their families are going through. It is just impossible. And the worst thing is that we have no way of getting them back. Well, most of us, because there is one who can. Mykola Kuleba and his team have rescued and returned 204 kids from Russia and temporarily occupied territories back to Ukraine to reunite them with their families and loved ones. When I'm thinking about 204 kids, I imagine them in the room like this. So you can imagine how cheerful and loud that room would be. Like the home that is blessed of having children would be noisy and cheerful and happy. And right now, when I'm asking Mykola and everybody with him to join me on this stage, I imagine those kids in this huge room cheering for him and applauding to him.
Good evening, friends, ladies and gentlemen. It is a great honor to be in here, but first of all, thank you, Sergey. I know you here and listening us, and Vladimir, Bill, Evgenia, and everybody who are paying a high price just for being here. And you know, I was listening and I thought, God, who I am in comparison with Sergey, Vladimir, with that ones who are tortured, imprisoned, kidnapped, deported, and how many children suffer. It's very mixed feelings because just yesterday we returned 2 more orphans who've been kidnapped, and just yesterday 1 foster family who fostered 1 boy, and he was a soldier in the Ukrainian army. And I found him 25 years ago on the streets because I started my career in child protection 25 years ago being on the streets collecting kids from the basements of buildings. It was thousands of children who lived there, and it was one of boys who are rescued and restored and placed to this foster family of my friends. And yesterday he was killed on the battlefield. But 2 orphans were returned. I hate that regime. Which kills our children, which destroying their identity. We have to be strong. We have to move ahead. We have to not give up. We have to fight against pure evil, which trying to re-educate, indoctrinate, and erase identity of Ukrainian children. And it's a privilege for me to stand in here with my friends, because Ksenia and Nastya, it is the voices of children who've been kidnapped. They've been returned, but they are ready to fight for another who are staying there. And I remember just one story. They may be telling their stories. One 12-year-old boy, because you've seen that photos, and always I'm asking kids who've been returned, what is the highest impression and what highlighted? And everybody is crying and telling when we cross the border. And I asking them, did you afraid that we'll never come back? And many children say, yeah, we afraid. We thought that we will never come back. And I can imagine if my child cannot sleep at night, be separated with me in any country, and somebody try to indoctrinate and dreaming about escape. But I asked 12 years boy who will return. I remember how mother and grandmother were crying and begging me to return this child. And this 12 years boy, when I asked him, did you dream about your escape? He told, yeah, I was sure. I was sure I'll come back. I told, how? I planned my escape. Okay, how did you do this? I told, I planned, but only one thing stopped me. I planned how to cross the minefields. What did you do? I was planning. I had a plan how to cross the minefields on the front line. And it's hard to believe. It's hard to imagine how this child couldn't sleep at night and was planning how to cross the minefields. Our kids is brave. And I know that Ksenia and Anastasia is nervous, and I ask you support them now.
Вітаю.
Hello,
Мене звати Мотчак Анастасія.
my name is Anastasia Movchak.
Мені 16, і я з Херсона.
I am 16 years old and I'm from the city of Kherson.
Під час окупації мене вивезли до табору в Крим.
During the occupation of Kherson, I was taken to a camp in Crimea.
Там мені довелося провести 4 місяці без рідних і без можливості повернутися додому.
There I had to spend 4 months without relatives and without an opportunity to go back home.
У таборі нас змушували вчити та співати гімн Росії.
In the camp, we were forced to learn and to sing the anthem of Russia.
А якщо ми відмовлялися, нас сварили.
If we refused, we were punished.
Нам не дозволяли розмовляти українською мовою.
We were forbidden to speak Ukrainian.
Якщо ми якось показували, що ми українці, нас ображали і казали, що ми фашисти.
If I somehow showed that I was Ukrainian, I was insulted and was called a fascist.
Та що українська армія обстрілює мирні міста.
And that the Ukrainian army was shelling peaceful cities.
А з вихователів ніхто не намагався знайти спосіб, щоб повернути нас додому.
The administration did not try to return us home.
Натомість вони хотіли залишити нас та зробити росіянами.
Instead, they wanted to leave us and make us Russians.
З мого перебування в таборі я винесла, що в Росії чи на окупованій території ти не маєш прав.
From my stay in the camp, I learned that in Russia or in the occupied territories, you have no rights.
Ти не можеш просто бути українцем чи любити свою Україну.
You cannot just be Ukrainian or love Ukraine.
Ти зобов'язан прославляти Росію і бути російською дитиною.
You're obliged to glorify Russia and be a Russian child.
Я щаслива, що повернулася додому і хочу, щоб всі українські діти також повернулися.
I am happy to return home and I wish all our children to return as well.
Дякую.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Ksenia Koldin. I am 19 years old and I have a younger brother, 12 years old, Sergei. And we are the children without parents. After the Russians invaded, my brother and I were sent to Russia. I ended up in a technical school and my brother was taken to a summer camp. 2 weeks turned into 9 months of separation. I started looking for ways to return. I promised myself that I wouldn't not live without my brother. The Russians put pressure on Sergei, convincing him that no one needed him, that he wouldn't not return to Ukraine, because there was a war and Nazis there. I was told that he doesn't want to go with me and prefers to stay in Russia. After such words, I gathered my will into a first. I managed to speak with him and eventually he agreed to come with me. After several days of exhausting travel, constant integration and fear that we will not be allowed to go home and will be forced to live in Russia, we reached Ukraine. But despite all the horrors and traumas, I believe in the victory of Ukraine. I believe that all children will return to their family and that Russia must be punished for its crimes. So that this country will no longer be able to steal Ukrainian children and turn them into Russians. Thank you.
You know, it is the first time they are on the stage. It is the first time when she speaks English. Yeah, I'm amazed. And they prepared a gift for Bill. Bill, please come on the stage. This Ukrainian flag was painted by kids who've been returned, especially for you.